welcome along to this Zoom call where we are continuing our educational series. It's all part of our Live Your Best Digital Life campaign, which is Property Tribes Cross Lendlord Collab. And joining me as always is Aviram Shahar, the co-founder and CEO of Lendlord out there in Tel Aviv in Israel. Hello Aviram, how are you?
Good. How are you, Vanessa?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. And for today's webinar, we've kind of looked at another topic that we can discuss where we can really showcase how brilliant Lendlord is at helping landlords manage their portfolio. And today we are focusing on compliance. Now, it's really interesting because I'm not sure if you're aware of this, the viewers out there, but landlords in the UK have to adhere to over 160 government statutes and regulations, and you are legally obliged to provide a safe and compliant home for your tenants. And if you don't, then there are very serious fines, in some cases unlimited, in some cases up to £30,000. So compliance is very, very important, not least for your tenant's safety, but also as part of risk mitigation in your business. And Aviram, I think it's really good to focus on this topic. It's just one of the many things that landlords do, but it's quite easy when you're living in a busy workaday world where you've got maybe, a career, job, family, kids, cats, dogs, coming out of lockdown. It's easy just to, miss important compliance deadlines, and that's where Lendlord comes in.
Correct. Yeah. When we designed Lendlord, we, besides, one of the slogan was like automation first. So the way the platform is designed is that while you're tracking your property details, you should put the different several due dates. And this is like the way you store and keep your data in one place. What the platform does on the backend side, it takes each due date and creates an alert. And this alert has like three different views. One, you have a dedicated page, we call it Inside, so you can see all of your 12 months due dates. And it can be in any due date that's relevant to your landlord life. It can be like mortgage product expiry date, it can be landlord insurance end date, but also gas certificate due date, EPC due date, EICR, HMO license due date. Basically any date that our users input into their portfolio table, they will see it on this table of due dates. This is like one thing. The second thing is email notifications. So you can also configure it in your settings page. But if you define that you want to receive email notification, you will get a notification 90, 60, 30, and 7 days before the due date. So you will have enough time to take an action. And the third thing is the notifications sidebar that we have. So any due date that is going is due in the next 3 months, you will get a notification on the platform while you're working on it.
That's absolutely fantastic. So really what Lendlord will help you do is stay on top of all your compliance issues, and you'll never miss a due date. And I think it's really so important that landlords adopt this digital first approach that we are really promoting through this collaboration, because as we've seen with COVID-19, businesses have been stress tested. There's been very unusual circumstances for people, but with Lendlord, you've got access to your data stored safely and securely in the cloud 24/7, 365. So it's not like you need the actual physical bits of paper or a letter coming through the post to remind you. These are automated insights and reminders to make sure that you remain a compliant landlord.
Right, yeah. And you can basically consume the data also from your mobile. And so the platform is now responsive. So you can, if you browse on your mobile web browser, you can get a view, a mobile view of Lendlord. And of course, the email notification, very important, so you won't miss any due date and any key event that needs an action.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting as well. If you're a newcomer landlord, you may not be familiar with all your legal obligations. And obviously in the Lendlord platform where you put this data in, there's numerous prompts and fields to remind you of which bits of information that you do need to fill in order to assist you in remaining a compliant landlord. So in a way, it's a bit like a crib sheet for newbie landlords as well, isn't it, Abiram?
Right, yeah. So as long as while you enter your property details, you will see different sections. And each section is also like a reminder on things that you need to be aware of. And you can see the section of gas certificate, an EPC, EICR, that if you can elaborate more, like in July 1st, it's a mandatory to make sure that you have it on each property. And all of those stuff, like it's like an added value that you can put your details in one place, but you can also get the reminders and be aware of the things that you should track and be aware of.
No, it really is very, very useful for all landlords, whether you've got one property or 100 properties, as one landlord has got on Property Tribes talking about today, actually, or even 1,000 properties. And, you know, the legislation in the UK is becoming increasingly onerous. It is kind of taking up more time for landlords to keep compliant, but also it's changing. And you just mentioned the new electrical safety certificates that are coming in July, and again Lendlord is going to be able to assist landlords in keeping up to date with compliance, because as a new bit of regulation or legislation comes in, then obviously we're going to update Lendlord with the appropriate field so that you can put the due date in for that particular item. So again, Abraham, it's going to be an ongoing, constantly updating platform that is going to really highlight all the areas of compliance for the users.
Right, yeah. And as you said, it's like an ongoing effort. So we keep listening to the market and new regulations. And if we see that we need to add more detail to store, or like another alert or something that can help the landlord be aware of the things that he needs to keep track of, we will do it. So this is like our goal.
No, very, very useful tool, aside from all the other incredible things that Lendlord assists landlords with. And if you look in our Lendlord Digital Life category on Property Tribes, we have curated all our educational information about Lendlord to help you understand the benefits of it and how to get the most out of it. It is free to use, and we've constantly been asked about how it's monetized. And we can talk about that in the context of the compliance module, because should you, for instance, need help organising an EPC, we have an EPC partner who you can request to contact you via the Lendlord platform. And should you use our EPC supplier, then Lendlord will receive a very small commission, and that enables us to keep the platform free to use. So I guess, Avraham, there is the added benefit that landlords can be signposted to trusted suppliers of products and services in the compliance arena.
Right, yeah. So we are working with the trusted for compliance national supplier.
Yeah, nationwide. We do want to stress that, because somebody did ask. These are all nationwide suppliers.
Right, nationwide suppliers that can help our users schedule engineers for gas certificates, EPC, and EICRs. Of course, the user can choose if he wants to work with our provider or not. He will get an alert with all the details. If he agree, we just pass on his phone number and email, and then he will get a phone call from provider. He will get a quote and then decide if he wants to schedule or not.
Yeah, it's very, very useful. And I think also I personally would just like to highlight our fantastic friends and partners at Alan Boswell Insurance, Property Tribes has had a very, very long-standing relationship with. They are an award-winning supplier of landlord insurance, and they've recently released a new insurance product. It's guaranteed rent insurance for the post-COVID-19 landscape. It is more expensive than their previous product, which is obviously understandable. It's roughly £150 a year now to add it or bolt it onto your landlord insurance. And we do recommend that everybody takes this insurance out. It's a bit of a no-brainer actually in our book. But Alan Boswell, award-winning, one of the most trusted names in landlord insurance, and we've passed on that relationship with Property Tribes. We've brought Lendlord into our little ecosystem of suppliers, haven't we, Aviram? Because Lendlord's going to be working with Alan Boswell Group as well, and offering our fantastic, it's called, what was it called? The Price Beta Guarantee. So Alan Boswell Group guarantee to beat your premium of the existing insurance you have. So you've got absolutely nothing to lose by taking up the offer of getting them to contact you and see if they can help reduce your insurance premium. And you know, Avram, it's so important because landlords should really be proactive in looking to improve their bottom line and their net month-on-month cash flow at every available opportunity.
Right, and I think it's a very good example. Another thing I think we should mention about the way we work with providers and we got our commissions. Part of that, we had now like a new way for compensate our users. We call them give back points. So let's say that you now worked with our provider and complete a case. It can be like for a mortgage product, it could be insurance with Alan Boswell, or even a compliance thing, like you did an EPC for a property. So we receive a commission out of that. And some of this commission, we converted it to, we call them give back points that the user can start earning. Once the user gets to 200 points, he can convert them to a donation. And we work with 6 charity organizations, and we provide the landlord with the ability to make a donation if he earned those give back points. So this is like another way that we can give back to the community and encourage our users to work with our providers as well.
No, it's a good reminder there, Aviram. Now, we are running a webinar on Thursday evening, and this is a little really precursor kind of warm-up call to invite you and encourage you to join us on Thursday evening. Avram, what will we be demonstrating, live demonstrations on the Thursday evening collab webinar?
So the main topic of the webinar is the alerts. So we will demonstrate how you can set all of your due dates and start getting alerts, what are the places that you can track them. We will start the webinar with the new released brief overview of the recent features that we released in the last 2 to 3 weeks. One of them is the prospect properties, the ability to store your prospect acquisitions and see your portfolio together with the prospect, how it will look in different scenarios. And the second thing is the rent collection module. So something that can help landlord track their rents if they want to do it with Lendlord. And the rest of the webinar will be focused on the alerts.
Excellent. So we do invite you to join us on Thursday evening. There will be a link to register for the webinar underneath this video. And I think we'll just close this out really by saying that, you know, compliance is not the most exciting of topics, but as a landlord, you just cannot afford not to be a compliant landlord. Now, we've mentioned the fines, of course, which is a very serious consideration, but even more important is the health and the safety of your tenant. We don't want to even think about what can happen if there is a faulty boiler in a property or a faulty gas appliance. These are all things that you have massive responsibility over to provide a safe and compliant property for your tenant, and also ensuring that you have the correct insurances in place is absolutely vital. A very good friend of mine who was actually worked as a security guard once said to me, when I was working as a TV presenter, he said, you know, it's better to have a security guard and not need him than to need him and not have him. And I say that about insurance. In many cases, it's actually a legal obligation of your, for instance, with your mortgage lender may well ask to see your property insurance policy, your buildings insurance. But otherwise, there are quite a few add-on products, and some landlords think, oh, well, I'm not going to spend £150 on rent guarantee insurance. But in these very unsettled times when we're not sure how many tenants are going to remain in employment as the furlough scheme is withdrawn and the true devastation of COVID-19 is actually becomes apparent. Nobody really knows how deep that's going to be, but we have to take this opportunity to remind you that it is better to have these insurances and these reminders, and make sure that you're on top of your game. And that's what we'll be kind of going into more granular detail in on the webinar on Thursday.
Right.
Yes, so we'll look forward to seeing Avram on Thursday evening for these live demonstrations. In the meantime, we just thank you for watching today. Hope we've sparked some good thought processes. Why not go and sign up for Lendlord now if you don't already have an account ahead of Thursday's webinar. Start inputting your property data. It's very, very easy. It couldn't be more intuitive and simpler. We've really spent a great deal of time in making it as simple as possible, and we will see you on Thursday. Anything else to add, Avram?
I think just that we are looking forward to see everyone in the webinar. It's an opportunity for you, like, also to ask questions. We have a live chat there that we try to answer questions during the webinar, and if not, we are answering in afterwards. So just we want to see you there.
We do. And we really do appreciate everybody's feedback, everybody's comments. We've had some really interesting feedback from somebody today that will inevitably go into the roadmap for Lendlord, because it was very, very useful. And Avram and his team in Tel Aviv are working very hard to implement all the new features. People are looking forward to the HMO module, our super duper deal sourcing analyzer as well. That's all to come. But for now, we'll just say, let's keep the focus on compliance. It's so important. It's not something to skimp on. It's not something to leave to chance. Please join us on Thursday evening for live demonstrations of how Lendlord can help you be a compliant landlord and provide a safe and compliant home for your tenants, which is a legal obligation. So you'll see myself and Avram and Nick on Thursday evening, and please register now below.